Hi, Steve Riley. Welcome to this episode of Great Practice, Great Life. And today we're going to work on a particular conversation around how to build a great practice, how to improve your life around the disc profile. And today we have attorney Ashley Waters, who's volunteered to come on and talk about her use of the disc profile and how the disc helps you build a great practice, make more money, and actually have a great life all at the same time. So with that, Ashley, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I don't think I had much of a choice because Lori
Yep.
Pulvermacher said, you have to have Ashley on. And,
And I
and in
gotta
my
love
world, when Lori says something, I go do it.
she's pretty smart.
Yeah, she's pretty smart. She's pretty smart. She's been on here at least once or twice, I think. So she's pretty
Yeah.
smart. So let's talk a little bit about your practice briefly so people can have a context about your practice. Then we'll dive into the disc. So where do you practice? What do you do?
So my practice is in rural Tennessee, Cookeville, Tennessee, which is kind of in between Nashville and Knoxville. And I have a niche practice, mostly estate planning and estate administration. So I've been practicing for a little over 10 years. Have had my own private, just been a solo practitioner for the last 5. So I first was introduced to disc by my private coach, Lori. And so she asked me to do the assessment for myself. I think as much so she would understand me and how to communicate better with me and work with me. So I did the disc and learned that I was a high D. And so Lori and I really used that through our coaching the first year that I was just doing the private coaching with her. And she would kind of teach things to me, knowing and using my disc assessment and how I would be able to relate or how she could explain things to me in a way that was relatable. And she, at the time, I was going through quite a bit. I was going through a hiring struggle. I was trying to fill a position for a paralegal, and I am in a rural community, so they're kind of few and far between. And she would tell me, you've got to have the disc assessments got to be part of your hiring strategy. And I heard her, but I didn't really hear her. And so I went through a handful of hires and most of which did not work out. Before finally I thought maybe there's something to this. So I implemented the DISC assessment. I narrow in the hiring process. Um, Once the candidate would get to a certain point, then I would have them to the DISC assessment to see what their profile looked like and if their behavior profile would match with the position that we were trying to fill. And then I worked through that with Lori. Like because I'm no expert on disc. I think that's important is we don't have to be the expert on disc. We have, people we can lean on who can help us to understand. And so she would help me to review, the disc profile of this new candidate together with mine. And at that point, I had had my entire team do a profile and how this person would fit into the mix and whether that person would be a good fit for this specific role that we were hiring for at the time. So that's kind of how I started with it in the beginning and then just leaned into it more and more as time went on. Now we use it daily in our practice. Um, we have all taken the DISC assessment. We've done some training with Lori so that not just I understand what the different profiles mean, but so the whole team understands the profiles and how they can work better together and communicate better with each other.
When you found the right person and you're like, okay, these are the right people on my team. How has the disc helped you train your team and improve communication?
So I think that's been huge for us. We actually, so I've said before, everyone on our team, which I just to be clear, I have 4 full-time employees. I have 2 part-time employees. And I have some seasonal, some college students that will come back and work when they're on break. And then myself as well. So we have a relatively small team. I'm the only attorney. I'm a solo. So what we've done is everyone has completed a disc assessment And we blocked out an entire day of for us to get together in our conference room. We brought lunch in and we did a whole um, learning session with Lori, with my private coach, where she taught everyone kind of what DISC is and why it's important. And so I think up until that point, no one really understood kind of, well, okay, so I know what my DISC is, but how does that, affect me at work, or how does that, what does that do for me? And so Lori was really able, being an expert, I think, on DISC, was really able to come in and show us all why understanding each other's profiles was important and different tools for communicating with each other, and also how to deal with particular, sometimes some difficult clients that you can once you understand the profiles, you can kind of figure out sometimes, well, that they may be a high D, and this might be a good way to work with them, to, to interact with them or to deal with have a crucial conversation with them or deal with an issue that might be coming up. So we did that. It was a whole day of training with Lori. After that, the team really got excited about their DISC profiles and that they had these new tools where they could better communicate with each other and with me. And so we decided, we all printed out our DISC profile, and taped it to our door. So we're trying to be mindful before you even enter into someone's office, what their profile is and how you can communicate with them and be more effective in your communications with them. So we've really leaned into it that way. We've also, with the disc and the team, I am always looking at, how do I work smarter, not harder? How can I improve? I think we have a great practice, but how can we make that better? There's always room for improvement. And so as we are growing our team, we're looking at where individuals are, what, what their profiles are and what tasks they're doing that they enjoy or that they don't enjoy, and which tasks they're doing that align with their profiles. And then if we're hiring a new position, you know, what do we want that new role to be? And really being very intentional about carving that out and making sure that we're using the team in the way that makes them the happiest, that they're going to be the most productive at based on their profiles, and then filling the gap, as you were saying before, with somebody new who will be able to pick up those, other responsibilities that maybe, would fit better with a different profile. So we've used it, even in shifting tasks, among our team members. Once we realize somebody, if somebody's a really high C, then they're very compliant. They're a rule follower. And so when we have a process that needs to be followed, that would be a great person to say, hey, why don't you take over this specific process? So we've tried to be very mindful of that, and just always looking at how we can kind of reallocate our resources and making sure we're utilizing the team in the most efficient and effective way possible.
How would you tell lawyers that are listening to this, how this helps them make more money? How does it help them drive more money, either gross, net? How does it help them come out ahead to waste such silliness and learn such silly things as a disc roll? Why should they do this?
Well, I mean, if you are more effective at communicating to get and to achieve an end result, then that end result comes more quickly and more efficiently, more cost effectively. For instance, like in the hiring process, if I had implemented DISC earlier in the hiring process, if I'd listened to Lori when she kept telling me you need to do this instead of having to learn kind of the hard way, I would have saved probably a year of searching for the right candidate and a year of being able to really get caught up with my work in that area. And so it's an investment in time ultimately, because you're learning this. It's helping you to achieve results you're looking for more quickly, more effectively, which then translates to more income because you're able to grow your practice. You can focus on other areas. You can grow your practice more quickly as well. So I have definitely found that we've had a record year this year. We've grown every single year that we've been in business as with my new firm that I've had for 5 years. And it's been, tremendous growth in these last 2 years. And I do attribute that to, a big part of that to using DISC to better communicate with clients and with employees, because you just get where you need to go more quickly and more efficiently. And you're not wasting your time, you know?